Good evening and welcome along to a wonderful podcast after a fantastic win. Actually, our stream is so far behind, the match is still going on at the moment. So if you know the score, don't let us know. What a goal by Sturridge, lads. I can't believe we're going to be into the next round of the League Cup.
So I look for Jan Janssen, Liverpool.
Anyway, tonight's podcast, joyous podcast on the 1-0 win over Chelsea is brought to you in association with RedsBet. RedsBet, of course, are a betting site tailor-made for Liverpool supporters. And if you get on now, they might still have the odds that we're watching on this stream. RedsBet aims to share half of their net profits with Liverpool supporters and fan causes. So no matter what, the fans always end up a winner. Check out the odds on redsbet.com or download the RedsBet app. Share the glory and gamble responsibly. And we'll have some good bets off them as well later on the week that we'll be tweeting out from the timeline and also putting up on Facebook as well. Anyway, all joking aside, I think Chelsea have just scored an equaliser. Damn it. And hopefully they don't go on to score a winner from Hazard through a holographic goalkeeper. But joining me on tonight's podcast to look back at what was 7 out of 8 wins is, of course, Andy Young. I've got Andy Young, I've got Ray Dickinson, and of course I've got Big Joe back in the studio to hold up the roof for us, because we were really lifting the roof off this place when we scored that opener from Sturridge. What you don't really know is, because I only figured out on the way here in the car, is that this is the 5th anniversary of the first ever LFC Day Trippers podcast, and in celebration of this being 5 times and all, 5 times like Harry Wilson said last night, we've got nothing special planned at all. So I built that up to absolutely nothing. But anyway, look, the main thing is, of course, I've got Andy, I've got Ray, I've got Joe. Lads, I'm not going to talk about the League Cup match all night because I just can't be arsed. Why? Why would I bother me whole? Like, honestly, it's like when it comes down to the FA Cup match. At the FA Cup week, we're going to talk about television or something because I just couldn't give a bollocks. But Andy. Moreno comes back in. The hologram comes back in. Some lad called Fabinho turns up. Like, literally, we may as well have Rubinho playing the central defensive midfielder. Andy, do you actually genuinely give a shit after that?
Of course I do. At first glance, when I looked at the 11, like, there was kind of 8 players who haven't been regulars, 9 players who haven't been regulars. But it looked like a strong team. It looked like a team that could probably fucking challenge for top 4, like, on paper, looking at it. But I think when you put them all together, there is good depth in the squad, but when you put them all together, it's not a very strong team. It doesn't work. And look, of course I care, but I care more about Saturday. So if we're going to lose one of the games, it has to be tonight. And like that last week, midweek, with a brilliant result, winning late on. This week, we've gone out of a cup late on. But I mean, at least it's the right one.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can bring some of them players in and they can do a job when you're rotating 3 or 4 players in. But as Andy said, you know, on paper it looks fine, the team looks grand, but you put them all together on the pitch, those 11 players, they're just not up to the level. Now, we probably, if you're playing them 11 week in, week out, based on how the Premiership's looking at the moment, you probably would challenge for 4th, would you say? Realistically, you'd be back to where we were 2 or 3 years ago, that kind of borderline 4th and 5th place team. Thankfully, we've upgraded quite a bit over the last couple of years, and that's just kind of a reminder as to where we've come from as opposed to where we are. I think that's, you know.
Yeah, certainly across the top and in the midfield.
Yeah.
You've got 6 players.
And the goalkeeper. Yeah. We've had an upgrade of the goalkeeper in the meantime.
Yeah, no, I just mean across the top and the midfield.
Yeah.
You've 6 players there who probably could challenge for top 4, but the problems are at the back 5 there tonight.
Joe, you've lived through the Mignolet era. Like, literally, that fucker has been at an absolute shit stain on our club now for nearly a decade at this stage. Has ever as bad a player existed at the club outside of Skrtel for this length of time?
Moreno's up there with him. Listen, he's not up to it. I don't know how he's still at the club. I was surprised. So I thought him and Karius would be gone this summer, but unfortunately he stayed, and he just proved again that he's a hologram and he's not up to it. But I put 3-4 other players that starting line up in the same level. They're Matip, Lovren, Moreno, Sturridge. None of them are good enough for Liverpool, in my opinion. And you're found out tonight. I'm annoyed over the result, but if they win on beat Chelsea on Saturday, I won't really care about it. So that's the main thing.
Ultimately, that's what it is. Was there any positive things to take away? Right, when I walked back in, because I couldn't be arsed watching all the game, I was so far behind. I was watching the FA Cup final from a couple of years ago, and Andy Carroll hit the underside of the crossbar. But when I came back in, you know, saying we've been playing quite well, and they shouldn't even be close to us at this stage. I thought from most of what I saw was that there was a lot of huff and puff, but there was no real. Like, there was nothing really clinical about it. Outside of the Sturridge chance where he goes around Caballero and he should finish it better, right? The goal, and then he hits the crossbar.
Yeah.
Outside that, there's nothing really.
Yeah, I suppose when you haven't got those three up top working together, it's a completely different sort of animal, isn't it? That we present. From terms of positives, I thought Lovren and Klein did okay in so much as they proved that they can come in as, you know, backups to what are our first 11. You know, if something happens, if we need to rest Trent for a game or two, you've got an able deputy. You know, I think Lovren is our third centre back now. So and you know, I think he can do a job. I think it just, you know, positives wise, a bit disappointed that Fabinho and Keita don't seem to be really at where they need to be. Maybe they will ultimately prove to be elite, but right now you can see why Klopp has gone with the 11 that he's been going with, more or less. So that's a bit of a concern that, yeah, on paper we've upgraded, but at the moment we've not seen proof of it just now. So, look, tonight raises quite a lot of questions. It will be soon forgotten about if we go to Stamford Bridge on Saturday and we get the 3 points and we do make it 7 out of 8, yeah?
Andy, I don't want to go down a dark hole of depression over what basically just works out as being like the Carabao Stork Nightmare Cup. Like, literally, like I like domestic cups are completely irrelevant if your season's goal is the Champions League and the Premiership title. Like, ultimately, they are nothing. They're a nothing trophy. They get you into the UEFA Cup. You may as well finish 6th if you want to play in the UEFA Cup. You know what I mean? There's nothing behind it. The day of substance in domestic competition is gone.
No, you always say that, and I always disagree with you. Liverpool haven't won silverware in a long time. If they've a good run, the Champions League, if they increase, you know, their overall performance in the Premier League, and then they win a trophy, it's going to be a more successful season. We have to lift the trophy, and I know in September the Carabao Cup, or whatever you want to call it, is a shit cup. But if you reach February or March or whatever the final is, and you're going to Wembley, it's great. And Liverpool need to win a cup. Like, they have to.
You went to Wembley last week?
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, football's about winning trophies, and it doesn't really, winning a bit of silverware really puts a positive on a season, you know. So if we don't win a trophy this season, and obviously that trophy is a huge opportunity for teams to win. If we don't, and we finish sort of second in the league and have a good run in the Champions League, it certainly doesn't look as good as lifting a trophy.
The killer about this, though, with the League Cup generally is when it gets to the semi-final and the final. Yeah, is when it kind of it really disrupts your league program. So you've got the two-legged semi, which is a pain in the arse in January. Yeah. Has that gone? Thought you were going to tell me that's gone now, but anyway.
No, it's still there.
So you got the
There is no semi-final in the League Cup anymore.
It's just go straight to pens, is it?
Yeah. They got rid of extra time. No, what did they get rid of first? Replays.
Yeah.
Then they got rid of extra time.
They were right.
Now it's penalties. Now they get rid of semi-finals.
It's just penalties. It's just
It's
a
not
penalty.
like
They just have a
one-legged
semi-final.
They just have a chat in the boardroom.
Flip the coin.
And whoever kind of puts the stronger
good
case
case.
across,
Yeah.
who should go through to the final.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what they do.
So we haven't got to contend with that. We haven't got to contend with the final, which means then you have to make up a league game further down the road and all that
Well, no,
malarkey.
you never
So
have to see Mignolet play again.
Well, he'll probably get rolled out for the FA Cup. Do
No.
you not think?
No.
Do you think he'll be
No.
gone in January?
Yeah, I think like they'll just throw him off a cliff or something. Literally.
With us being out in the League Cup now, I think like he's going to probably treat the FA Cup even more serious. No?
And Alisson will play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, unless there's a young kid called Alison at the club or something.
Unless Mignolet has nudes or whatever. It's just, I mean, I was surprised he played. Like, I back any player once they back the club, once they're behind the team and play with a bit of pride and act like a Liverpool player. I can't understand how Klopp played him tonight after mouthing off. Like, it's totally out of school. I don't, you know what I mean? If you're not getting into the team, you keep your mouth shut. His opportunity may or may not come around with an injury or whatever. But he shouldn't have played tonight. And okay, you blame him for the goal. It was a great strike. But he had moments throughout the match where he put uncertainty into the players with his kicking. He can't kick the ball 3/4 of the length of the pitch. Like late on in the game where he had a chance to thump the ball into a dangerous area and just even if the Chelsea player wins the ball, we can still pick up the second ball. But he drops the ball into the middle of the park and the pressure comes back on top of him. And it's the same across set pieces. He just injects fucking panic into the team. And I hate the sight of him now because he's spoken about
Joe, I want to ask you, right, because I want to bring it back to Andy's point about that we need to win a trophy, right? We need to win a trophy no matter how small the trophy is, right?
I'm going to agree with it. I know you don't agree, but the two reasons I wanted to progress in that, one, like we have to win a trophy. I'll agree with that. I know you don't think it's relevant, but I think we need to win something. And secondly, if we are later on the season bringing in players that aren't first choice like Lovren, and at least if they have 6-7 League Cup, FA Cup games behind them, they've played a few games. If there's an injury. Whereas if you're just bringing them in from the cold, they haven't played for 2 months, because Klopp isn't going to change. We have probably 13 players where they play, we don't weaken our team. The rest, you can see from tonight, we don't have a huge squad of quality. So if we're not progressing, the league and Champions League's team is going to be very similar for the rest of the season. So that's just why I wanted a few players to get 90 minutes, and like Fabinho tonight, but yeah, and I'd like to win a trophy. So yeah, that's why I'm disappointed.
Okay, I'll ask you then. Right, supposedly Klopp gave Shaqiri a right bollocking at the end of the game. It doesn't surprise me too much, because if you looked, I thought the application Shaqiri in the league matches to the application that I saw there tonight, he looked slightly slower player, slightly lazier player, for want of a better word, on the pitch than what I saw. Say the way he exploded out against Southampton, the way he played the game, was hungry. He just didn't look as probably as hungry in the press, in the defensive side of the game, than he necessarily in the attacking side of the game. I don't know.
Was it about him shooting?
I don't know. I'm just seeing the comment.
I can only imagine it was about shooting.
Probably.
Like his performance overall, I don't think he was lazy at all, whatsoever. I think he was one of quite a few positives tonight. I think he did play well. I think he's shown that he does add a lot of strength to our squad. You know, he can come in quite easily up there, you know, after 60 minutes or start the odd game. I didn't think there was much wrong with his performance tonight at all. I thought he looked dangerous. I thought he looked more likely to score than most.
Okay. I want to move it on. Like, I can't get away from. I just personally, I can't get away from the Mignolet thing. I'm all joking aside. I have been doing this podcast for 5 years, and every time he's a bit like Freddy. Every time you think the fucker's dead in the film, he appears again and starts pulling his claws out and just wrecking your dreams. Like, you know what I mean? He's just.
Well, I think the reality is now, I don't think we should really sort of lose too much sleep over it. At the end of the day, we've gone out, we've spent 60 million odd quid on a top class goalkeeper who has looked the part. Yeah, he's generally looked the part. He's had the one big mistake, and he's looked before that like it was coming, and it did arrive. The big mistake happened, didn't cost us anything, and since then he's been no nonsense. I mean, so I don't think we have to. All we have to worry about, obviously, is an injury to Alisson. Like, it is quite feasible that we never have to see Mignolet again. So I don't think we have to worry too much about it.
I think we're going to see, if Alisson stays fit, there's no way I can see Mignolet starting another game this season. thankfully.
Unless he's knocking around for the FA Cup.
And
again, he decides, you know, in some way, shape or form that it's not worth risking Alisson playing in them games.
The point I wanted to make on this is not about him. The point I want to make on this is that we sold Danny Ward in the summer, who played very well for Leicester last night, and he's been content to go to Leicester as the number 2 there, right?
Yeah.
I would rather have had, and I was never an advocate for saying that Danny Ward should have been number 1, but if it was a choice between Mignolet and him, right? Given that we know Mignolet is just not good enough. I said he might be. He's probably good enough to be a top 6 backup keeper. But looking at that again tonight, he's not. He's a busted flush. The fella is just a liability. He needs to leave the club. And every time he plays, when you look at him now, you consider him at the same level as a Bad Jones, as, you know, an Arfasad, one of those just imaginary players who are utterly shite when wearing Liverpool's jersey. To think that he's there, one of the longest players in the squad. But he's been dropped in every season. It's gotten to the stage where even when we think he's gone, he's still fucking there and he's still fucking up. You can look at Moreno in that goal. You can look at Keita in the goal. You can look at how slow Fabinho was getting across as Hazard breaks into the box and shoves that little ball a little bit too far that if he was on his toes, he could have made the thing. But ultimately, the shot is at mid-height, a lovely height for a goalkeeper to save it. It doesn't matter how hard it is. If his dive is in the right direction, he stops that ball. And that's why we signed Alisson, and that's why we've been complaining for the best part of 10 years that this fella doesn't make the saves that we expect him to make.
Yeah, like I think Alisson is a world-class goalkeeper. He's the type of goalkeeper that'll win you games, will, you know, save you 5 or 6 points across the season, maybe even more. And they are the big moments that your De Gea's and, you know, Courtois,
even
Alisson, they'll come up in them moments and save you. I don't know, for a long time now, when Mig was number 1, we didn't see them moments. It was like with every save there came a mistake. So, like, I mean, I agree with you. He's not good enough to even be our number 2. And it is strange that Ward has gone on.
I think it's kind of happened by accident, really. And you know, the offer comes in for Danny Ward. You know, it's great business in a way. Yeah. You know, they get a great transfer fee for him, and then he probably was being offloaded, wasn't he? But then the Karius thing just had to be put to bed. I think the Karius thing was far worse a situation than having to deal with Mignolet. So look, maybe he goes out and he gets an upgrade in January, but we're going to see so little of him. I'm not going to.
Alisson gets injured.
That is obviously a concern.
Joe, is there an argument then to not have given Grabara or Kelleher game time tonight instead?
Yeah, I would have rather see that in hindsight. But why not play Alisson? Surely he's capable of playing a game midweek in goal. That's, in my opinion, with resting goalkeepers, I've never really agreed with it. So I would have just played Alisson tonight and put the young lads on the bench.
And that would have proved the point.
I think it's just become a norm though in football now. You play your second goalkeeper to give your goalkeeper games in those cups. So if he doesn't,
he has to come in.
Yeah,
if played recently.
Well, it's just like goalkeepers don't get fucking games. They don't come on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes in games. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not fair to have your goalkeeper sitting on the bench all season, and I think like managers just tend to play them in that. So it's become the norm. Of course, you don't have to rest Alisson. You know, Alisson could probably do it again with the extra games. Like, he's still only fresh, you know, in the club, and to play as many games as possible, get himself used to, especially against a side like Chelsea. It would have obviously benefited them. But yeah, I think it's just a norm. He plays because everybody else does it.
It's just. I suppose it's just, you know, the high that we've been on since the start of this season.
Yeah, that's
the relentless wins and wins and wins and wins and wins. And I think we all felt. I think, look, to be fair, when we saw the team this evening, not one of us thought that that's a weak team, right? And when we look at the Chelsea team, we thought, right, there's definitely more than enough in our team to beat what was the reserve Chelsea side as well. Okay. Like, I would have fancied that team over the reserve Chelsea side. And I suppose, ultimately, it's just a disappointment of being 1-0 up with 15 minutes remaining, and to get ourselves turned over in the last 15 minutes.
I suppose the other, just on the team, a different type of point on the team is that it must be a little bit discouraging to some of the young players that they didn't get the opportunity tonight. Obviously, we've gone out to competition now. You can see why they wanted to play that team and bring in some of them players, give them 90 minutes, and we were playing against top opposition in Chelsea. But it must be quite discouraging for some of them lads. Seasons gone by, they've had their opportunity in those competitions to show what they're worth, your Woodburns and so on. And none of the lads have been given any opportunity there to get any minutes in the first team. So that's got to be a bit discouraging, hasn't it?
This squad is like the whole thing of that's going on is that this is the best squad we've had in a while. And opportunities for young players are going to be incredibly limited unless you're a really talented youngster, the likes of an Alexander Arnold. And after that, like we've seen Curtis Jones make the bench, but that's about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any youngsters there that are coming through that are near the levels required at the moment. So you're looking at these players that have been in and out for a couple of years and then are, like I said, are starting 11. So the squad is the strongest we've had. I'll agree with that, but we still have weaknesses all over in second, like players coming in. Cloyne can do a job right foot, but Moreno isn't up to it at any level, and he's our second choice left full, and he's exposed again tonight by a Chelsea reserve. That's the problems. That's what you're going to have for the whole season when players like that come in. So I'm just hoping we don't really see much of them for the rest of the season, that everyone stays fit, but
it's a big drop off if Robertson, picks up an injury or whatever, and we have to play Moreno for a run of games. I mean, he was getting absolutely ripped first. I mean, he was making Moses look like player of the year contender. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Until he missed that open.
I don't really understand how Moreno hasn't matured as a player. Like, you can understand a young player getting caught on the wrong side so often, or just the madness that he goes on with, just the positions he finds himself in, the mistakes he makes. He probably do well at Barca, but like,
it's not to defend.
Yeah.
They're not defending much at the moment.
But they're all sort of things that, like, you see a kid doing, and I don't know what age he is now, 24, 25. Is he? So at this stage, these things shouldn't be happening. And I mean, if he wants to have any chance of fucking continuing his Liverpool career, when he comes in a cup game, he needs to do way better than that.
But Andy, I'll just to get a sense of reality on this, it's more likely that these players will come in ones and twos, than in sevens and eights, which means that you can if Robertson is injured, let's say, right, and he comes in as part of two changes to what is essentially a relatively settled 11. Yeah. Players like that come in and play completely different to players when they go in and it's 6 or 7 players who haven't played in a while. Yeah, and I'm not making excuses here. I'm just trying to equate the reality.
I totally agree with you.
Moreno next to, say, Van Dijk, Gomez. You've got Alisson behind him, and you've got Trent over the other side. It's a different proposition. I get it.
But he's still playing behind Keita and next to Lovren. Like, he's not playing alongside two youngsters.
No, he's not, Joe. But if you have your strongest 11, which is kind of being playing consistently this season, apart from the odd change between Henderson and coming in and out, and the games Kate has played, that's our unit. Like, so when you replace one or two in that unit, they tend to just slot in and everything. But like I made the point earlier, collectively all together, it's very hard. The shape wasn't the same. Like the kind of just what we've come used to. Like, Liverpool this season have been a different animal in terms of how they're organised and how they move the pitch together. Like, the difference in the space, but like, I don't know whether it was the defence dropping deep or the midfield just not being where they should. I don't really know. I'd have to look back in the game, but there seemed to be acres of space to play into, and obviously Hazard, when he comes on, he just completely exploits that. And then if you get Hazard running with the ball with his head up, and you've only Moreno there,
it's one of two things, isn't it? He's either getting in or he's getting a foul in a dangerous position. Yeah.
Whereas if this was the unit that's playing every week, and those lines are very, like, a lot tighter as they have been this season, you don't get the chance to play in there in that space. And hopefully on Saturday we don't see that that kind of shit going on again.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you will. And as I said, I don't want to dwell too long on the game because to be quite frank, as much as people want to lose the plot over it and debate what's gone horribly wrong over the course of a Carling Cup game, like it's literally just. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Do you know
this season I'm with you, Phil. Normally, I would be well up for the whole let's win a trophy conversation, but this for one season, given the position we're already in the league, Champions League, I'm more than happy for us to concentrate on those two competitions rather than the League Cup and the FA Cup this season.
You're in my book.
I am. I've come over to the dark side.
Yeah. Andy, do you want to join?
Yeah, well, no, I don't. I just feel like, as well, that Liverpool have been, the elite this season. You know what I mean? Like now, okay, there was lots of changes, but it shows that there is vulnerabilities there, and we haven't conceded goals in Anfield in fucking months and months, like March.
The game in Anfield
yeah,
for a long time.
Yeah,
have we actually?
and
That's
now we have.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
I know it's
It
disappointing.
reminds me a bit of the Bears '85 team, where they're going on beating through the whole season. They go to Miami Dolphins and they start throwing the ball off people's helmets, and the Dolphins were catching it in the end zone, and how that just they look like they're going for an unbeaten season. But the question I wanted to put to you right on it was. The worst thing about this last night is the fact that so many people had so much fun at United last night.
Yeah.
To go out in the same round as them, like it's completely irrelevant. All that crack.
Well, that's why you need to keep your powder dry, especially when, when you have to go delete tweets and all that.
Five minutes after the final, it was too late for Joe.
Yeah. Look, it's
that semi was back, was it?
the
two-legged semi.
I mean, I don't care. Like, it's still a great buzz seeing United suffering so badly. Like, they watched us suffering for so long.
It's different level over there, isn't it? Now, United is a different level.
And like, as funny as it was, they were in a nice little sweet spot of not quite crisis situation, but this that loss last night has brought on videos of them in the training ground, and it's shown up that there's like discontent between Pogba and Mourinho. So it's easier to remove the manager from it all, and that's inevitably what's going to happen. So we kind of need them to go on a bit of a run.
Beat West Ham.
Yeah.
Playing West Ham, aren't they? They beat
West Ham 166-1 tonight. They did.
Yeah,
cricket score.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's going to go sooner than a lot of people are making out. To be honest with you, I think he's going to go fairly soon.
But even like one more round for us, you could have had like
we could have revelled in it a bit more.
Yeah. I could have got my joint bag of Revels. I don't want to keep for the weekend. Yeah. The family sharing pack.
The one you've got ready for the FA Cup third round exit.
No, I honest to God, I'll come in here and I'll do a podcast and I'll pretend to watch it, but I won't watch a minute of the game. I won't want to. I don't think I've watched an FA Cup match in about 4 years at this stage.
To Liverpool for the fourth round,
Yeah, I'm not. Well, you'll have a free weekend. They could be playing a league match. Minulai's playing ahead. You'll love that, you will. Right, lads, look, I'm going to move along because, bizarrely enough, this weekend we play Chelsea again. And what will be, I imagine, a much changed team. But does a result like tonight affect the confidence going into that match? Joe?
No, personally, I don't think it makes it different. There's so many changes. Probably likely to see 3 at most from tonight's team starting on Saturday evening. So for Liverpool, so no, I don't think it'll have any bearing on the game at all. You're bringing in our main players as well, like Salah coming in and Alisson and Van Dijk. Now I wouldn't worry about that affecting the performance at all on Saturday. Still think we win.
I don't think it necessarily affects our confidence. I think it gives them a little bit of a boost, and if they are a goal down, psychologically they'll think, well, we came back. If it's 70 minutes gone, they're a goal down. They're going to know they've done it before to us, sort of thing, a few days earlier. So I think it doesn't necessarily. It's not a bad thing necessarily for us. I think it just helps them maybe a little bit. But yeah, with all the changes and everything, you're gonna see a different type of game, and I think it's really important that we don't this doesn't turn into a second consecutive defeat. That's the only thing.
No, I don't think it affects it at all. Like, especially Robertson comes back in, Van Dijk comes back in, Alisson comes in, Trent. Like, it's totally different. It's a totally different look. It's a totally different sort of level of player and attitude and everything. I don't think it would be in there in players' heads just because a second string went out to Chelsea against a second string Chelsea team. It doesn't, like, it's not the same. Not the same thing at all. I think it's probably good as well that, you know, from our perspective, it's pretty good that we've played them. It gives Klopp a closer look. You know, he likes to watch the team warm up from the halfway line. He got to stand beside Sardi for a game and see what he does, see how he reacts to little situations in the game. So that might stand to our gain as well. Obviously, there, man, you know, he gets to watch Klopp too, but I just think it might benefit us. You know, positives here.
The one thing, I just in terms of Chelsea's team, because it's likely that they will they'll obviously change the team around again, right? And their midfield will be a lot stronger than the midfield that started tonight. Kante will come back in. Jorginho, who's been their real star for this season so far, and the way Sarri has them playing, he comes back in as well. And it will be a much tougher battle than what should have been the battle in midfield tonight. Although I'd argue that we didn't play as well as I would have expected us to play. With the players that were in there, both in Keita and Fabinho, I expected a bit more out of them, to be totally honest with you.
In theory, Chelsea had a dodgy keeper there as well tonight. You know, they bring their first choice goalkeeper back in as well. So
world's most expensive goalkeeper.
Yeah. Battle of the two world's most expensive goalkeepers. Yeah.
But look, you know, I think. The one thing that we didn't really see from Chelsea tonight was the style of play that Sarri has been trying to impose. It is heavily in the Barcelona style of possession football and relentless possession football. The Brendan Rodgers school of pass them to boredom to death, which will be interesting because the one thing they've been criticised that they haven't had the penetration that he wants them to have, and he said it's going to take them Sarri said it himself, it's going to take them at least another 6 months to figure out the way he wants them to play in from an attack point of view.
I always think Liverpool look more dangerous with less football anyway.
Yeah.
So let them have it.
Let them have the ball. You think counter?
Break on them.
Yep.
Hazard, though, according to Carragher, the best footballer in the world, Joe? Or in the Premiership? Or in the match tonight?
In the Premiership, I think on his day he probably is best in the Premiership. Yeah, Salah obviously would run him close, but when he turns up, I think he's as good as Ant in the Premiership. He's out nowhere near the levels of the top players like Ronaldo, Messi, but he's him, De Bruyne, Salah, probably my three top players in Premiership.
See De Bruyne when he comes back from his injury. Yep, next week. Next week, brand new fucking camel bleeding cruciate ligaments in his legs, and he's got a cyborg head and everything. We won't even recognise him.
He'll still manage to win Football of the Year, I reckon, as well.
So how long was he out with this cruciate ligament? 3 weeks or something like that? Nothing funny there. Nothing at all funny. No. Nothing. There's definitely nothing to see there. Yeah. Sane, amputated leg last year, had a brand new leg grown back in 3 weeks, was able to run around grand, not a bother. Nothing funny.
I think it's fair
whatsoever.
to say that Hazard
there's nothing funny.
Hazard's in better form than Salah at the moment. I think it's a fair.
It's interesting because I think if you look at last year, Hazard was completely off the boil at the start of the season, and I think, Andy, going back to your point last week, Salah is a player who has fed on, you know, building his form over the course of the first couple of months, where he was always in positions but maybe not taking the chances but still scoring almost a goal a game, and then it builds up to 2 goals a game as we get to the back end of the season. Whereas this season he hasn't even been in the positions as such that he had been in the previous season, so it's like he still has a bit to go in finding his form again. It was good to see him score against Southampton and being in there where you need him to be, but he still has a bit to go. Do you think that this Chelsea team perhaps gives him the opportunities to get back into those spaces?
Yeah, I suppose if Chelsea do have the bigger share of the ball at home, it might give Salah a chance to isolate his man. Like I just what I find about Salah at the moment, he's just not up for the dog fight. Like last year, he was getting a lot more physical with his opponent, and whether it's the fear of the injury, you know, and missing out on a few weeks of football or whatever, I don't know what it is. It's okay if a player misses chances. They just need one to hit the back of the net. But with Salah at the moment, it's just a little bit of a tricky one for him. maybe a few goals and he'd be grand. But it'd be interesting to see how it pans out. Hazard, of course, is in a load of form, but he's playing the Premier League age. He's a very physical player. Like the way he kind of gets his low centre of gravity, no one can push him off the ball. Nobody. But Salah at the moment just looks like he's not up for that dogfight. You know, that'd be my main concerns about Salah. But I'm sure once he does get into those positions, he'll take his chances. He knows how to score goals.
Joe, as Damo Flood once said to me, he knew players. You know players. What's your take on Jorginho at Chelsea so far?
Yeah, he's very impressive. Yeah, I think it's helped. He's gone into a new club with a manager that knows his best position, knows his role, and he's settled in there. I think he's made a huge difference just to letting Kante push forward and covering down a lot of Chelsea's attacks come down from Alonso left full. So that's why Saturday's going to be interesting, because if Chelsea try and play as they have been with Alonso pushing on the left, it's going to leave Salah loads of space, you'd imagine. So will Alonso just sit there and they'll try and attack some other way, or will they just go and attack Liverpool and leave Salah? If they leave Salah space there, I can see him scoring one or two. I don't think you'd worry about Salah against Chelsea, or if he was playing West Ham. I think he's as effective or likely to score against either side. So I think if Chelsea get a bit of joy and Camadas early on, you could see Salah getting in behind there and hopefully notching a goal or two.
Where Salah struggles mostly is when the fullback gets tight to the centre back and Salah can't play in that, you know, that making up half space for it.
Half space?
Yeah.
Is that's where the floaty eights?
That's where Salah loves to play.
He loves the floaty. This year's the floaty season.
Yeah, but the way Chelsea set up with Jorginho where he is and with Kante's energy, they can fill that gap that Alonso leaves behind him, you know, for enough time for him to get around. But yeah, look, it could be a positive thing. It's like when teams think the best way to play against Liverpool is to play three at the back and a wing back pushing forward. It's suicide against Salah and Mane because they love that. They've acres of space to run into. So if they do have a lot of possession and Alonso's caught forward, it might get us a chance, like, you know, to go man for man on the counter. And that's where, like, Liverpool are going to punish teams.
75 minutes tonight, we're the better side.
Yeah, certainly were.
Yeah, I thought we were in reasonable shape to go through, to be honest with you. I thought we were in control. There wasn't an awful lot of... But obviously they bring Hazard on, which is a big part of what happens subsequently, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. I mean, we bring Salah on very, very late because of the situation. We could possibly bring him on at 1-1, but we bring him on when we go 2-1 down. But I wouldn't have the same level of confidence that he could make an impact from the bench that Hazard made.
I'll get to lighten with this one, but like we were grand till Henderson came on.
I can only imagine some of the stuff going around on Twitter at the moment. I mean, it's probably Christmas for a lot of fans who've had to keep the powder dry.
The problem is though, like Milner goes off, Henderson comes on, right?
Yeah,
you've got it's like this. It's the yin and yang because normally both sit in the same camp. That Henderson is shy and Milner is the worst ever free signing because he gets 130 grand a week, right? But now Milner goes off and everything seems to revolve around Milner at the moment, and Henderson comes on. So we can go in there, but then I can't also go in on
Milner as well at the same time.
And why are we talking about the game again? I'm only getting upset now. I thought we moved on.
I just wanted to know. I could see your face. I could see you starting to smile. I wanted to ruin your life again. Hang on, do you want to revel? Right, look, I want to ask a serious question, because we did it last week. So, man the match, Andy, on Saturday. Who's going to win it? Robertson. Ray.
Who's going to win it this coming Saturday?
Yeah. Well, not last Saturday because it's pointless asking about last Saturday.
Yeah. I'm going to say Salah. Yeah, he got a couple of goals.
Those that can only mean good things.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, Salah. 2 goals. Yeah, Salah for me. Two goals and a 3-2 win.
3-2 win.
3-2 win. Oh, gee, another heart.
Who scores for us?
Salah gets 2 and Firmino.
And Firmino. That's the other one.
I'll take that all day long. I
3-2
can
win.
see plenty of goals, yeah. I think both sides are just going to attack and leave spaces.
Do you not think though this new corner thing that we're doing, we're just lumping the ball in on top of the
At the keeper.
goalkeepers?
Yeah.
But that was only done again.
PSG.
Yeah, and then they didn't do it.
Did it again tonight. Shaqiri was doing his little whippy bendy banana balls in on top. So I think they might test Kepa Arrizabalaga in the goal because
He hasn't really been tested from
Yeah.
what I've seen, so yeah, it'd be a good time to give him.
Have we got rid of the throwing coach now, or has he been seconded onto corners? Is that because I haven't seen any decent throw-ins recently? Just saying.
he's been spending 2 weeks trying to teach Mignolet how to throw the ball. It's like,
Is the throwing coach a permanent position at the club now?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
so if he doesn't work out, we get a new throwing coach,
Yeah.
or is it just the kind of temporary, see how,
see how it goes.
and then like we get what we can out and then tour from out?
Well, it depends on how
I honestly think he's gone to corners because we seem to have done a bit of work on corners the last few weeks. What's next?
How can he specialise
Penos,
in
mate?
Goal kicks.
How can he specialise in corners and throw-ins? That doesn't make any sense, right?
He'd got his badge.
got his corners badge.
He's done.
Yeah.
So he's got his throw-in badges
Yeah, he's got
and
his
he's graduated
corner.
his corner badges.
Yeah.
The away for corner coach. I like it. The egg will be out. I bet you the egg will have some periodisation around the corner coaches. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's got a chat coming up during the week. It's on in Malta or something. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so
Saturday coming, yeah.
scoreline, please. Ray Dickinson of the Dickinsons of
2-1.
Brookside.
2-1.
2-1. And who scores for us?
Salah 2, and for them, Hazard.
All right. Andrew.
Yes.
I'm going to call you Andrew because it's like when Andy Cole changed his name just randomly to Andrew Cole.
Andrew Cole, yeah.
Remember that? That
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
the weirdest thing ever. It's like,
He told people to do that.
oh no,
When you tell someone you can't, like, you know,
You can never call him
no,
that.
You can't. No, not when you state it yourself.
but that just popped into my head there. Is that not like one of the weirdest things ever? Like, no, call me Andrew, please.
I come across it once in work. A really senior guy. He was known as Bob for years, and then he came.
Call me Sheila.
yeah.
That's happened. That's happened. That happened.
Let that. Let Ray tell his story first.
Oh no! Look, and then he just gets up at the year start and he goes, "From now on, I'm going to be known as Robert," and that was it.
He stood up and said it.
He stood up and announced it to a room of about 200 people that he now needs to be addressed as Robert because Bob wasn't good enough anymore. Because he was so
yeah,
senior.
That's too much of a blatant change in the workplace. You need to bring that in slowly. Like he needed to get that out to.
Tell me your turner. I said, no problem, Bob.
I wasn't worthy enough to even speak to the guy, so
That's mental.
yeah.
No, that would have been.
Well,
That's something that
Sheila
should
would have been a better
Yeah.
shout,
Yeah.
though. To be fair,
I want to be known as Sheila.
Ronnie, I told you before, you can't. Well, anyway, Andrew. Scoreline, please.
2-0 to Liverpool. Yeah.
Who scores for us?
Mane.
Mane.
Yeah. Mane and an OG.
Salah. An OG. Do you think we get a second OG after last weekend?
Yeah.
oh, that was crazy, that wasn't it?
That was a fantastic OG. It's a pity that none of the arseholes that fucking do podcasts for us bothered their arses to do a podcast. Because I wanted to talk about, I wanted to hear chat about that game for that own goal in particular for at least 20 minutes. It was just, I've watched that on replay and I want to know how much money he was paid to do that. Because none of it. Joe, you're a centre back. Is that a natural motion?
No, it was, I don't know. I rewound it. No, I don't know what was going on there. It was an unusual movement. No, I have Sky. I pay €100 a month, not 23 cents a month.
And his emails get responded to within an hour.
Can you readily contact
It's Sky Larson TV he has instead of Sven. But yeah, I'm just sorry for dragging us back to the Southampton game, but I still can't. I've watched it back loads of times and I still don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's not like a kick or anything. It's just like an involuntary motion. It's like, right, so that was the thing. So, random topic generator. Gav, you have a question?
Oh no, just Damon wanted to know why Joe was turned into Brian Kerr.
There's something about this podcast. I turned into Brian Kerr for a while as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's
You did have
when
that for a
you're
while.
talking- sometimes when you're talking about football, you just transform into Brian Kerr.
Into Brian Kerr.
I have a sore throat. That could be an explanation for my
not
even worse than normal
No,
voice.
no, you've been on Brian Kerr tonight. I noticed that myself.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Brian Kerr.
Talk to us about Shakir.
Right, random topic. So, first topic up on the random topic generator is, right, bit controversial, bit sort of funny around it, but lads, thoughts on women broadcasters in Sky and BT?
What's so funny about that?
No, it's not. It is a very serious topic. That's what I'm asking. We did, the way there doesn't seem to be any gay people in football.
Yeah.
Right, so we may as well deal with the difficult topics of, and especially since it's an all-male audience,
Well,
so
like
people
obviously,
listen.
like most of the networks now are trying to do it. BT, you're seeing during the World Cup, ITV, BBC, RTE, all did it. Because I think like Sky Sports are covering a lot more women's football. People, you want to bring up the profile of women's football, and one way of doing that is bringing in ex-players or really, really top players from the women's leagues and international football. But it's obviously it's going to get met with loads of bullshit. There was on Sky last night when Lukaku scored, so a little video done the rounds, and it was such a short snippet. Like obviously they didn't show her whole performance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Didn't show a hole, no.
go on.
So it was a 5-second thing of her just being stuck for words, and then people went to town on it. But yeah, she just gets tongue tied.
Yeah,
but like overall, the women punditry has been excellent. Like, and when you have like, nobody can complain about.
But that honestly, Andy, that in itself is ridiculous. Sky have. I don't pay much attention to analysts and post-game analysis because, to be quite frank, the majority of them, I don't give a shit what they think about the game. They aren't the type of analysts I want to listen to. Right? I'm only interested in people who I feel improve what I'm watching and sort of something that I can pick up on, something that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. So there's some really brilliant journalists that do it. There's some really good ex-pros that do it. Like I do think Neville and Carragher are very good in their analysis of the game, right? I genuinely do, right? And again, it's this idea that, oh look, she got tongue-tied. Fucking hell, they've had Paul Merson.
Yeah.
The fella doesn't know a single player's name, English player's name.
Chris Kamara before that, didn't know a penalty was scored or something along those lines.
That was at Portsmouth.
Yeah, and it's a bit of crack. Look, like people are always going to react to something that's new, something that's different. But if you're going to criticise the women punditry, like you have to look at what's still left on Sky. The likes of Merson, as you say, the likes of Henry, like they were useless, absolutely shy, And some of our own ex-players, the punditry needs modern players who are only not long out of the game, who are up to date on because I don't know
the
what
dynamics of the game. They've changed,
the
haven't they?
players are out of the game. They seem to lose touch. They lose touch with reality. They're just on there earning a wage. They're not even interested in football anymore. Like
I think the game has moved so quickly in terms of coaching methods, the use of statistics, methodologies, all that type of stuff, right? That even if you're out of the game for 5 to 10 years and you're not actively involved in coaching in one of the clubs that's there, right? You've lost touch with football so much that to actually try come in and put really intelligent analysis or a different spin on things is next to impossible, because all you're doing is essentially what John Giles has done and that's with the greatest respect to John Giles, who has been a brilliant pundit on RTE for a long time, but he's still saying, when I was at West Brom and when I was at Leeds, it's this type of stuff, and it's like football is a science now.
It may as well be a completely different game because it has changed so much. I mean, I do like the different perspective, especially if you're dealing with people who've played the game recently, as opposed to just getting someone on for the sake of being a name in the 70s or the 80s, because, especially the girls that I've seen who, the younger girls who are given some analysis at half-time, full-time, it's clear that they know their stuff. They're speaking from experience, either being in the game right now or just out, just recently out of the game. So you're always going to get these kind of die-hard stuck in the muds who just won't embrace a different perspective on things, and you just have to say, well, each to their own sort of thing,
How often does Jamie Redknapp say something on Sky that you find profound, like that you go,
When has he ever said
I
anything?
don't think he's ever.
he doesn't. And what does he offer? Like, he doesn't offer comedy. He doesn't offer anything
He
really.
looks very well.
He does look well. Yeah,
He's on a league of our own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he to me would make a better presenter or something like that. Actually, he is good on league around. In fairness, he is good on that. But when he's giving football analysis, he's not on the ball. When they go down to pitch side, he just talks shit. Like,
He should be a host.
Yeah.
Really. He'd be perfect as a host because he doesn't offer
Yeah.
that inside.
whereas like during the World Cup, like the famous one where Ever starts clapping. I mean, that is like that. He ruined that little bit of, I don't know, analysis.
He was asked.
People were sitting there gripped, going, "This is fucking good.
Yeah.
This is good. This is what I want from Payne for this channel or whatever."
Yeah.
And then he starts clapping, like, it's fucking ridiculous. And I find that a lot of they do select female guests, like pundits, that are actually very clued and do offer good stuff. So I think it's a good thing for the TV, personally.
Okay.
I think it got off on a bad foot, the whole introducing women into the viewing experience with the whole match of the day thing. I think is it Jackie Oatley? I don't think she's the best commentator in the world.
Yeah.
Even when
Terrible.
when you put her against most of the other people who are commentating on match of the day, she's not great. And I think from that moment, almost it's a bit of an uphill battle to get people to accept female voices in terms of commentary or analysis. Now, I don't know the girl who's started on Sky Sports this season. I don't know her name because I'd only catch her a few times, but she seems to know her stuff. She seems to have added a really good dynamic to the people who are given their opinions at half time and full time.
Well, I think I watch a lot of American football and American sport, and it's just the norm there.
It's been the norm for years.
Like, I'm thinking,
Sideline reporter.
yeah, and I'm
hosting.
on NFL Live. You've got Good Morning Football, and it's hosted by, I can't remember what the guy's name is.
Are they giving in-depth?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They are so knowledgeable over there.
Of the game itself. So when you watch it, you don't see man or woman. You just see people who are talking about the sport and able to have a bit of crack with the sport because they know their sport. They know who they support.
Like, I think with football, maybe it's because there's still such a gulf in the difference between the men's game and the women's game. It just hasn't come that far yet. Whereas if you look at golf or tennis, it doesn't have that massive difference. Like, there's female pundits on the golf who give excellent analysis. Like, they blow you away with their knowledge. And it's ideal, and in tennis as well, you see. But I think with football, people are still think they're above their station. Your general sitting on their arse on a couch football fan think they know more, just because they're not impressed by the female game. Like, but that's totally different to what they can offer in terms of analysis. Do you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't really look at the two. That's the same.
We can get a female host soon for the day trippers. I can have a night off. Right, lads, one last random topic. I'll go over to Gav. Random topic, Gav. What? Okay, Andy, if you
I
could
think
pick.
I've seen a question on Twitter when the show promo went out asking what colour should our second and third kits be next season.
Should or would you like?
Well, should, would, whatever.
Yeah, I seen that, and I think they mentioned they showed New Balance
And the New Balance, yeah. That was the second question.
Deep
on
red
there, yeah.
should stay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But 100%, I prefer the deep red than going back to the fire engine red. I know you love the fire engine. I definitely prefer the deep red. It's definitely
I
funkier.
think fire engine should change to a deeper red.
Yeah,
Depend-
probably be more effective. Yeah.
No, I think it depends what country you're in.
Why?
Just because you might need to be camouflaged in certain countries.
Some
Yeah.
countries the fire engines are orange.
And yellow.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's more fires there.
Why is the fire engine red?
Don't know. Why is Santa Claus red?
He wasn't. Hang on. No, it was yellow. Saint Nicholas, the Turkish patron saint, was wore yellow robes, and Coca-Cola took over the branding of it and put him in red robes, and that's what you've
That's a
seen.
fact,
No,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
think-
is
I think
Coca-Cola
Sandy
related,
was,
yeah.
Sandy was green originally, and
No.
Coca-Cola did make him red.
No.
He was, I think he was green.
Patron saint, the Turkeys is Saint Nicholas. But anyway, yeah, Coca-Cola made him red. So maybe Coca-Cola sponsored the fire trucks and made them red, and then all of a sudden it took off to be red.
I have a question for Andy.
Okay.
Do you know when Christmas comes, and you know when you're going around in the fire truck, do you do that like holidays are coming? You know, do you sing that song?
I think we're blurring the lines between Coca-Cola and the fire brigade here.
Yeah,
But that's Budweiser, isn't it?
Jerseys.
I'm gonna get onto jerseys because I want,
Okay,
I
sorry,
want the
Rose.
orange jersey to come back. That would be my shout on that.
I have a strange affinity to the orange jersey as well. It's like it is something that was just mental last year, and just looked at it and went, it's great. Maybe because we got some of the Dutch lads in the team as well. You just feel like, because
Yeah.
whenever you go on holidays and the Dutch lads are all just walking around in orange. I've never seen a nation in my life that just adopts a single colour when they're on holidays. Imagine what their pennies is like in, say, May. You walk in and it's just like this giant fluorescent orange treasure trove, everything in orange. Trousers, shorts, jocks, the works, orange.
Orange was great for the season. I think the colour should only be a yellow away, a white away, grey away, and then the occasional green, because we've back in the day we had a few green and it's on the crest and everything else. But just to keep all these, or maybe encourage them, I don't know, the Muppets on to wear like making jerseys. Maybe let the fans pick a jersey every year.
The vote.
Yeah,
A votey
Vote.
jersey.
yeah. So they, you
not
know,
a bad shout.
what does work actually is, I mean, might put a bit of purpose to the whole design of jerseys.
Purple?
Opposed to purpose.
All right.
As opposed to just like randomly designing jerseys for likes and retweets. But you know the way they do the match day image.
Yeah.
I think that brings out some really talented, people. Like,
Yep.
with their skills on Photoshop and all. If they could have jerseys submitted, the fans get to vote in it.
Yeah.
It's all about engagement these days.
Yeah.
And then New Balance produce the jersey.
Okay.
And then make one of
You know,
them fans
the
rich.
only issue you'll have there is every jersey you produce will be an Adidas jersey, because for some reason the Muppets who make the jerseys on the Twitter and on the Facebook have to insist on it being an Adidas jersey.
But fans
It's like New Balance.
fans
Be
will
like,
get to,
this is New Balance, lads. New Balance. Can you do that? You'll have like,
fans will get to vote. So therefore it would be transparent.
on this, keep the crest the way it is, or go back to that absolute cat's fucking abortion of a crest that we had for
You
like
mean keep
too
the
long.
liveaboard
Just the liver bird, the
The
plain
liver
liver
board
bird.
is
Nothing wrong with that.
the way
To me, what we have at the moment is perfection. You
Yeah.
don't need
That's
any more
great.
than that.
I don't disagree, but I wouldn't be.
Like, it's grand if you want a big
bothered
huge.
we
If you want a
went
huge
back to
big.
The big crest that you're talking about is still on Anfield.
I don't mind that.
It's still
I
a
don't
good
mind
crest,
that.
but
I don't mind that. On the jersey, just the liveaboard. Just simple.
just the liveaboard with LFC underneath it, or just the liveaboard?
I can live with the LFC underneath it.
Okay.
No issues with that, right? But when we start getting into trying to stick every single bit of symbology
in
in,
the 70s it was just a live award. I don't think it said LFC.
it did, yeah. And there was one with a circle in it as well.
The LFC was written
The
a bit
circle
different.
come back in 96. They tried to do that whole
But
big circle.
yeah, but then they put the yoke inside it, which has every single idea of a symbol that's associated to the club. All it was short of was
The radio seat
Bill
show.
Shankly in the corner and Roy Evans asked him, how am I doing, boss, in the top of that circle. Like, that's literally all it was short of at that stage.
I've got a last question.
Right, go on.
Following on from tonight's defeat, do you think FSG out need to come back and demand that the club spend more money because they're not spending enough.
Andy, should FSG out?
Just say that
Do we need
question again.
FSG out back?
After tonight's defeat,
Yeah.
do you feel that FSG out need to come back?
Is there a place for them?
To spend more money.
They need to push us on.
Do FSG out need to come back and make a massive move on John Henry like they did over the summer and forced Henry into all that spending? on that?
Yeah, maybe. I did notice recently they've been allocating themselves an awful lot of credit.
For the changes.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Most of the fans ignored them. I didn't ignore them. I went down that rabbit hole
I loved it.
to learn. Got to know them all, the 7 of them. Like, John Henry is oblivious to them. You know, seriously.
I don't know. Like, if you think about it, if we could call Keita, Fabinho, the FSG out signings. Yeah, we could call them that, could you? They're the FSG out signings. So if they go bad,
It was Alisson, Fabinho, and Shaqiri. We signed Keita last year before he did FSG out.
So we don't include Keita.
It's a complete myth that the spending trend has changed since, you know, in this season. Like, it's like suddenly the pennies dropped. That is not the case. The only difference in the last 8 years is we went from being broke to generating more and more revenue every year. And every year they spent what they could. They always endeavoured to invest in the team, and they did. Okay, one season it was only 20 million of a net spend and blah blah. As time has gone on, they've like trebled their
top of the fucking league.
What?
We're top of the league.
Yeah.
But can we get them back as FSG Outback? Sounds like it's some type of product that's out in the New England hills, like the FSG Outback. Hashtag FSG Outback by New Balance. And then up there, if we can find them, they're making jerseys for New Balance to sell for next year, because we've sell more jerseys.
Put Adidas on it.
Put Adidas on it, and because it'll be a new kit deal.
What they could do is
for 90 billion.
And as a,
Right.
as like,
you could tell them. You could tell them. Hello, you know.
Hello.
Come here, guys. We have a job for you. And put them on a ship, and then just send it out to sea.
It doesn't need to be that big for 7 lads, does it?
No, give them a big ship. Give them a big ship so they get lost on it.
As a symbol of it, what they'll do is they'll just have one fella outside Melwood, you know, like the protest that if you just one fella revealing the jersey, just stand there for about an hour.
With the
Just
jersey.
with the new jersey.
All right,
And then a
okay.
plane will go past and he claim it to be his, but it's not really. It's
Just the streamer fell off the back.
It's just the Dublin to Liverpool flight from 24 hours.
Right, so FSG Outback referendums for jerseys.
Look, we'll see. I'm sure we'll see them back out if we lose a couple of games.
If we lose on
that
Saturday,
is, I mean, what bothers me most about the Liverpool fan base is these little corners of, you know, fans.
We've got a
that
corner coach now,
really
so we
enjoy
don't
it.
need to worry about
Yeah.
that.
But maybe he could be employed to coach them into.
Back for you.
Yeah, 100% behind them.
Excellent.
the one thing I would say about tonight is the Day Trippers WhatsApp group came back alive after sort of 6-7 weeks of pretty mundane
Stuff.
winning every week. Lads just really starting to trying to even think about new hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, Hazard comes on and it's alive again. You know, Brenzy, Ray Brady, they're all back.
Ray, it doesn't surprise me. Ray doesn't surprise me.
He's a changed man.
He is a changed man. He needs to go and get some Just for Men, because he's his ginger hair now. So it's like pull his hair out, at the front. He's still got his back hairline. He's working on the front hairline.
Game costing 800 quid.
Is
It's halfway line.
he got his hair transplant off Smithy's.
Flights to Kusadasi booked immediately after the final whistle. How am I slagging the ball out here?
You should get a Smithy.
Oh, I've never seen. Oh, when is Ray back in here? Ray Brady, if you're watching,
Please,
I want to see
come
you
on.
back in the studio next week and bring your beautiful hair images.
Come on.
He's never coming back in. Right. I know. Okay. Right. We'll leave it there. Look. Everyone that's watching, thanks for watching as ever. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for interacting with Gav as we went through that there. What's up this weekend? I think we have the final whistle, and then afterwards we have the Cop Table, who will be doing a preview show. That's out on Thursday evening / Friday morning. And then we've got the final whistle after the game on Saturday, and then the Fatback 4 will be back on Sunday. And the Napoli match is next Wednesday night, so the Tuesday Club will be coming again on the Wednesday evening after the Napoli match. And then we have the FA Cup / International Cup break, where literally nobody watches any type of football.
City then, haven't we?
Oh, City, and then we have the International Cup break, so there's a lot of football going on. So look, with big thanks as ever to Andy Young for joining us, for Ray Dickinson for joining us, for Joe Brown for joining us, and from Joe Kerr for joining us as well.
Just call me Christy. Let Joe take it.
Yeah, sorry, Joe Brown was playing in centre back for Southampton at the weekend.
Oh yeah, Joe Brown from now on.
He'll be back with all his hair next
Joe
week.
Brown will be back with his hair next week. Big Ginger Smithy on him. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so that's the roll up for the next fortnight or so. Thanks again for watching. I've been your host, Phil Casey. This has been the Tuesday Club on Wednesday in association with RedsBet. And we'll have a few bets out and a few more things. Oh, we've got articles and all that type of stuff coming up on the website. There's been a lot of work on the background. It's all happening. This has been our 5th year on the trot doing this thing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying. We'll talk to you next week.